Hey guys, EDDBUD here, and today I'm taking a look at the COROS Pace 2 GPS Premium Sports Watch. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me today, guys. Just to let you know, COROS have sent me this watch, but this is not a product placement. They're not paying me to make this video. These are my honest opinions as per usual. They won't be vetting the video either before I put it out for you guys to take in. Glad we got that out the way. So today, a review of a watch, a timepiece, a fitness informer. I'll be pairing this sub 200 Earth credit watch up against my Garmin Forerunner 245, so strap yourself in.
It's timepiece time.
So this COROS Pace 2 is certainly one light piece of works. Clocking in at 36 grams, that's 1.2 ounces. It makes it marginally lighter than my Garmin Forerunner 245 Music. That one is 40 grams or 1.4 ounces. So not an awful lot in it between those two watches, but it is nice to have that feather-light feel on your wrist. I gotta say, setup of this watch was super simple. I'm using an Apple iPhone 11, and it was sheer simplicity itself. Just a matter of downloading the COROS app and then syncing it up with the watch itself. It took very little time to get things up and running whatsoever. In fact, I think I was doing some other stuff while I was doing it. It was that simple. That's always a bit of a boon. Saving time in this day and age is always good. Operation is also simple. All you've got here is a dial and a button. That dial actually acts as a button too. Compared to the Garmin Forerunner 245 with 5 buttons, this one's a much more intuitive thing to get used to. You could say perhaps a good middle ground between lots of buttons and less stuff to go wrong. The bottom button here doubles up in terms of features. It's the back button, but also the lap timer button. So on the app and on the watch, you can change the watch faces that are displayed. You can customize the screens a little bit too. That's across the different activities as well. So if you want to see certain metrics for certain activities that you might use the watch for, you can. And it also enables you to update the firmware to help squash those bugs. I'm always impressed to see technology being updated, where developers are continuously improving the features and the functions of a device. Just gives it a little bit more longevity. I think it feels like you get a little bit more value for money from a device. So well done, COROS. I've got to say, in using the watch for about 3 weeks now, I'm mightily impressed with the amount of data and the metrics that are displayed and collected whilst using it. It's certainly comparable to the setup that's offered within the Garmin Forerunner 245. I think my only gripe really with the wheel here is the clearance to your wrist. It does feel as if sometimes it's getting caught on my wrist a little bit, though it's only happened on a few occasions. Just felt like there could be a little bit more clearance on the underside of the watch. Certainly not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. So this one obviously collects stuff like exercise time, steps, heart rate, and sleep too. All that stuff's monitored. I think using the watch actually, it's made me appreciate a little bit more how much sleep I need to get. It certainly correlates when I've had some good training sessions. I've had a lot of sleep as well, so although sometimes tough to sleep right now, as you guys that have been tuning in for some time will know, little people make a lot of noise. On the app, I really like the fitness index section that estimates VO2 max. And yes, I do know that these watch-based calculations are just estimates, so please don't tell me about that in the comments, I know. And it also gives you your approximate threshold pace as well. Strangely, with the COROS Pace 2, I have found that using it on my right arm, it's far more accurate in terms of the heart rate reading. So I did a bit of testing back and forth between the Forerunner and the Pace 2 and found that the 245 and the Pace 2 act pretty much the same on the left and on the right wrists. They're slightly more accurate when placed on the right wrist. My left wrist is just obviously Skeletor-like, I suppose. No heart rate readings from that seem to be that accurate, so I don't think it's down to the watch on this occasion. I think it's just me. I would suggest though, even on my left wrist, the watch is relatively accurate if I'm doing some easy runs. If I'm going for a longer distance run, I'm starting to get warmer, there's more sweat, or if it's very wet outside. I did get a few dropouts, but that's expected. I've had that on every other wrist-based heart rate sensor that I've used. Setting up a run's dead easy. Literally go outside, unlock the watch and hit that dial button. Select run, wait till you've acquired the GPS and hit the button again and off you go. That's how I like it, nice and simple. I found accuracy of the GPS statistics to be comparable to the Garmin Forerunner 245, but vastly better than the Apple Watch 2. At one point I went out with 4 different devices. I felt a little bit like Iron Man. I've not really had too many GPS dropouts or anything. Once it's acquired the GPS, it seems to be pretty accurate. I know the routes out there that I use on a daily basis. I know how far I've gone, and the COROS Pace 2 is always pretty much spot on. I feel with this watch there are a few additional metrics that raise it above the Garmin Forerunner 245. I mean, if you want to dig into the data a little bit, I think this one's the watch for you. Running power is quite a refreshing statistic to me. It's quite interesting viewing your effort rate rather than just looking at pace and distance. I mean, it starts to consider elevation and other metrics in there to give you an overall reading of the amount of power used at certain points of the run. Really interesting stuff, especially when you live in a very hilly area like Yeovil, Somerset, UK. You can see the differences there between like an easier effort where I'm hitting about 250 watts and then harder sessions where I'm above 300 or close to 360 at some points. I think for those who like to monitor their training via effort rather than heart rate, this feature of the COROS Pace 2 could be really attractive to you. And it negates the need for a foot pod or something like that. Although I would like to try out one of those Stride foot pods in the future. That running power metrics really helped me plan my training over the last few weeks to make sure that I'm running an easy pace on those recovery days and then hit it harder for those more tough and demanding sessions. A real boon having this in hand and on wrist. I've had zero issues syncing this watch up with my phone. It just sends across all of the run data and activities flawlessly. I've got to say as well, charging is a very quick and easy process. I grabbed the cable, plugged it in, and within 40 minutes or something I was back to 100%. So that's fantastic. Well done, COROS. Do be mindful that it's a slightly different charging cable here. It seems to be a 3-pin module, so a little bit different to the Garmin one, which is a 4-pin one. They do look similar, but only 3 pins here. So make sure you colour code your cables, ladies and gentlemen, to avoid a mistaken cable charging disaster. In terms of durability, the cold and wet weather's had no effect on the COROS Pace 2. It just drinks down the rainfall. And the strap is easy enough to clean and maintain. I think I'm getting about 7 days of charge out of the COROS Pace 2, and bear in mind I'm using it every day for some sort of activity. I've got notifications turned on there as well, and recently with the channel improving in terms of the user base and the subscribers, I've been getting a lot of comments, so there's been a lot of notifications. So a long press of the back or the lap button brings up a toolbox with various additional functions and tools. The metronome could be useful to help people aim for specific cadence levels. Simple stopwatches are there, and access to settings to set up additional Bluetooth sensors or devices. I know a couple of other reviewers have had issues with the screen brightness, but that's not been a problem for me. Certainly easy to see on night runs. I've been doing quite a lot of those recently. I only seem to have a few hours worth of sunlight here at the moment in the winter in the UK. I'm happy to hang on to that great battery life though for a slightly dimmer screen during sunlight hours, especially where we're stuck indoors during this pandemic. Certainly a lot of thought's gone into this watch interface as well from a HCI perspective. In terms of human-computer interaction, everything's laid out really easily. It's very clear to see which function's going to be triggered by clicking the buttons. That was a bit of an issue for me on the Forerunner. Sometimes you weren't entirely sure you had the right thing selected. I think the inclusion of those pressure metrics and also altitude too give this one a little bit of an edge over the Garmin Forerunner 245. I think if you're not worried about contactless payment options and want only the noises of nature in your ears while you're out running, then the COROS Pace 2 could be the sports watch for you. There's a whole array of different functions and metrics there with simple controls and a very lightweight feel. A hearty thumbs up from me. I'm going to carry on using this watch over the next few months and give you another update on it a little way down the line. If you've got any questions for me on the COROS Pace 2, please put them down in the comments section. An EDDBUD video would not be complete without a musical interlude. Another Christmas related one today from my top band, the Eels. If you're a dog lover, this one's for you. It's called Christmas is Going to the Dogs. We all know that E is a big dog lover. Bobby Jr. used to appear on quite a number of his tunes. Here E tells us that he'd rather have chew toys than Yule logs. And lots of talk of just laying there and chewing, which is pretty much what my dog does most of the time. Lots and lots of sleigh bells here, which is mandatory for a Christmas tune. If you want to hunt this one down, you'll find it on the Eels album Useless Trinkets and B-Sides. which I think was released back in 2007, so go and hunt it down. Christmas is going to the dogs by the Eels. Alright, cats and kittens, time to rock on and eat some more Christmas cake. Hope you've enjoyed the review of the COROS Pace 2 today. I'd like to say thanks to Ben Clark over at COROS for sending that one over to me. Again, I'd just like to state I'm not being paid to make this video for the COROS Pace 2, and COROS won't be vetting this video before you, my valued viewers, will consume it. If you're new to the channel and you haven't done so yet, it would mean a lot to me if you'd hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when those new videos are launched. It helps the channel out a huge amount too. You give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you